We've got, let me ask you one more question from the group, and then we'll open it up to...
Are you sure these are from the group?
That one was... that last one you can be mad at me for.
I'm not mad at you.
Notice I've been attributing all the ones from the group to the group, and that one I did not.
I did notice that. That's the reason I called you out.
You didn't need to call me out. I readily admit that. There was a question here about the Brent Spence Bridge. Obviously, Governor Beshear just met with Governor Kasich about that. What do you see?
Did they come to any resolution about it?
It was the same resolution that Wallace Wilkinson came up with 20 years ago with Governor, blanking on his name, Governor 91.
Roads?
No, 90. Anyway, no resolution. What do you see as the future of the Brent Spence Bridge, as well as whether tolls will have to be part of that?
Well, I've been very involved in the Louisville bridges. I've been very involved in the Brent Spence Bridge. And this morning I was at a transportation conference for first responders and other folks down in Louisville, and we talked about these situations as far as they had the Federal Highway Administrator for the state of Kentucky there. And if you look at the most recent resolution that's passing through Congress, it should cause you some concern. All the HPP projects, and those are earmarked projects, that have not been 10% expended upon, have been pulled out of the budget. HPP projects, earmarked projects, are federal appropriations, even though they're from the amount of money that we're going to get anyway in the state of Kentucky that are focused toward projects. The truth of the matter is if we take the entirety of the amount of money that we're presently getting from the federal government, it would not be sufficient to build the Brent Spence Bridge and the two bridges down in Louisville and meet the other obligations we have for highway maintenance and other things like that. I think that the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the governor of Ohio, the Attorney General of Ohio, and other folks should get involved and make the case that I-71 and I-75 and I-65 are not Kentucky and Ohio responsibilities. Most of the people that use those bridges are not from Kentucky and Ohio. We are in a different situation than most other states. The states that go along the Mississippi River or the Ohio River are beneficiaries of a great geographical anomaly, these great rivers that we have here. But, you know, we do not have enough money in the state of Kentucky to build those bridges in any finance plan that's been proposed at this particular juncture. There's strong opposition, philosophical opposition, in northern Kentucky and in Ohio, southern Ohio, to imposition of tolls. And I don't think that you're going to find the Kentucky General Assembly come to an accord about the Brent Spence Bridge and any tolls. That's not going to happen in the present political climate. On the other hand, has anybody suggested where they might get the money from? So I think that there's a severe problem in advancement of these bridges. And if you look down in Louisville, we're on the other side of the equation in Louisville. I think that you could make a good argument that more northern Kentuckians go to Ohio than Hoosiers come to Louisville, you know, because of the economic nature. Now, the airport changes that somewhat. You have more folks from Ohio because of the logistical support that provides and the growth that's over here than would normally come here if, let's say, if the airport was over in Ohio. It's a very troubling situation that we find ourselves in, and I will tell you, in its present form, the bi-state authority that was created primarily with legislation that I suggested is struggling right now, and they do not have a finance plan in place that is sufficient to build those two bridges down in Louisville right now. And they're struggling down there about that. There's strong opposition. But I will tell you, if we were in a similar group like this in Louisville, Kentucky, and I asked how many people had gone over to Indiana last year, about half of them would raise their hands. And then if you ask how many of them went over there once a month, you know, and then you'd have about a third of them. And then how many of you go over there once a week? And out of a crowd like this, which is about 70 people or so, 50 to 70 people, you know, you'd have one or two. And yet the people in Louisville are against tolls. You would think in Louisville, they would think, well, it's the people in Indiana that are paying the tolls. Why should I worry about that? So they're just a basic opposition. But you go to other states. If I was in Houston recently, I didn't stay as long as I wanted to. But basketball game ended a little early. But you know, you go about anywhere out there and they have toll roads here, and they're happening. So I think that there's going to have to be truthful information provided to the public, and then collectively the public's going to have to make a decision. But the HPP projects are going to be cut back. There's going to be a drawback of about $40-something million worth of contract authority in federal monies that were previously appropriated, besides the HPP projects being cut back, which is about a 6 to 7% cut in the federal money that comes to Kentucky. The federal highway fund is busted. The consumption of gasoline is going to go down. We get paid per gallon. It's not a sales tax. We get paid per gallon. As the price of gasoline goes up, the consumption of gasoline goes down, and we get less money. Steel prices are going up. The cost of petroleum directly impacts the cost of asphalt and concrete and the other components, and we're going to have a hard time maintaining the road system that we have right now with this increased cost and increased costs and decreased revenue. So it's a difficult question that the next governor is going to have to deal with. And holding a press conference up here saying that they're going to think about it some more is okay. But we're going to have to collectively make a decision how important a new bridge is and how we're going to pay for it and what we're willing to sacrifice for it. And then we're going to have to put the numbers to it, and there's going to have to be an education policy to the population here in Kentucky, because these bridges are crucial to the United States of America, not just Ohio and not just Kentucky. And we have traffic mitigation problems that are very serious here.